Good afternoon, Professor Cabrera, class. This is Jason Guerrero from Social Media Communications. This is the podcast submission, and the topic that I've chosen is the 2024 presidential election. Having just gone through the semester of social media communications, I think this election is more important, or rather historical, and no other election has been influenced by social media as much as this one. As I've told Professor Cabrera in the submission video, this is going to be a bit of a relic to look back to 10, 15, 20 years from now, to really look at things from a lens of the present, because all of this is going to be history one day. And to say that this was a historic election is putting it lightly. We are now over 2 weeks since the election has concluded. President-elect Donald Trump will be the next president, and he will be the second president in U.S. history to serve 2 non-consecutive terms since Grover Cleveland in the late 1800s. So yes, it's historical in the sense that you either choose someone who is the second person in history to have that distinction of serving 2 non-consecutive terms in office, and you also had the option of the first woman and first Black woman and second Black president of the United States. Kamala Harris had won. As I stated before, social media has never been more abundant in this election compared to other ones. We now live in an age of a lot of variety of social media existing. We have YouTube, we have TikTok, we have Instagram, we have X, also known as Twitter. We have different platforms, and all of them have had their say in this election. And as we covered in chapter 1, after enough time, we have these things called echo chambers, and they have existed in all parts of these social media platforms that I've mentioned before. And it's been used to the candidates' advantage, and also it's been part of their disadvantage. We've had compilations, best ofs, internet memes, viral videos of these candidates that either make them look good or make them look bad. And having been hot off the election, I think it's fair to say that had a good amount of influence in the voter turnout and how they decided to vote. So, for example, you could have the compilation that says Donald Trump is being, a boss, or he's owning, or he's being a man. And you have another compilation of Joe Biden, stuttering and supposedly freezing and falling off his bike or falling off the airplane, Air Force One. And even in this election season, you could argue that President Trump has gotten in touch and taken advantage of social media by having different social media accounts, not only, but also getting in touch with prominent influencers who have their own audience and demographic. People like Joe Rogan, XQC, Aiden Ross, Jake Paul, Ben Shapiro, and Elon Musk. And on the subject of Elon Musk, who has in the last 4 years bought Twitter and then rebranded it to X, has kind of been a linchpin of the debate of government in social media and how much censorship or leverage they could have over what is being said or how those companies are being run. Previously in 2020, we were in the middle of a pandemic. After that, we had a war breakout between Russia and Ukraine. We had high inflation. and an attempt to overturn an election in 2020. And, you know, with these issues also comes the issue of how much did social media play a role in these things, and how should government play a role in moderating these, you know, facets of American life? Because social media is the First Amendment, it's free speech, but there's always a moral gray area of how much should people be able to speak, at what cost, and, you know, what are the limitations of free speech through social media. For example, in this election cycle, we've also had social media host AI created content, which has been used by foreign adversaries like Iran and Russia to create misinformation about candidates that they favor or don't favor. And, you know, going back to censorship, we've also got the TikTok ban, which is what I've chosen for the journal entries. Professor Cabrera knows this. Previously in 2020, President Trump had vowed to ban TikTok unless they sold themselves to a U.S. company. Fast forward a little bit after that, after he left office, President Biden signed an executive order where TikTok has until January of 2025 to sell itself to an American company, or they will simply be delisted from you know, sites like the Apple Store and Google Play Store, and no one will have access to TikTok anymore. Essentially, a TikTok ban. President Trump has since reversed course and said during the 2024 campaign trail that he would, in fact, support keeping TikTok as a functioning social media service. But this is, you know, sort of where we're at right now. This is a interesting time in American politics and social media, and how much conversion there's been between the two. You know, so it would be interesting to see in the next few years how much will change or how much won't change between the two, you know, social media in politics. So with that being said, I'm Jason. Thank you for watching.